Yes, we're back again. It's just a smidgen after 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and of course, you know what that means. It's time for that Friday feeling on the Boise bus. We're getting down to the next week, 2 weeks to go will be the last Friday feeling of the season. I'm looking forward to we've got one more home game and then the Scottish Conference. We're right down to the nitty gritty now, folks. But yes, it's Hibs tomorrow, the penultimate home game of the season. So myself and Liam will be looking forward to that. But yes, Liam, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing brilliant. I'm loving the new edit, by the way. You've recut that, haven't you?
I have indeed, yes.
It looks brilliant. Yeah, right up to date. Love it, Phil.
I know. I'd kind of still had ones from last season, which to be fair, we are still the reigning league and Scottish Cup champions, so the gifts were relevant. But I thought, no, do you know what? We need to update that a wee bit because I think Kyogo and stuff like that are all still in the edit. So yeah, I've updated it for a few weeks now. So I good to need a wee refresh, and obviously after trophy day as well, maybe there'll be another edit again for that.
You never know. Just keep your eye out for new players and that as well. No. Have you recovered for last weekend or what? I mean, I felt like it was a loss. Did you?
Oh well, it's a frustrating one. It really was a frustrating one, but it's definitely on the agenda. We will briefly touch on it because there wasn't much to talk about in the game, but we will touch a little bit on it. But there is obviously a story that's came out of that game that's obviously rumbling on today, which was mentioned at the press conference, and that'll be one of the big talking points tonight, as well as the Hibs game and numerous other things that are doing the rounds just now. So before we do any of that, though, before we go any further, you know what to do, folks. You do that good stuff, help the bus out massively, help the algorithms out, and do all that. So hit the like button. Obviously helps. That gets us more traction on YouTube, more recommendations to people who like Celtic podcasts. YouTube will recognise that they do, and the Boise Bus might pop up because interactions are a good thing on YouTube, and that's all they care about. So if you can do that, that'd be fantastic. Of course, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. That helps out massively as well. And hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when the bus is on the road for like myself and Liam come on a Friday night, or Russell and Terry for PMP, Thursday Night Forum. Look out for all these things. So hit the bell notification and you'll be reminded when we're on the road. And who is in the comments tonight? Let's do the roll call, the Friday night roll call. Liam, let's have a wee look here. So Patrick McLaughlin is in, Jim Dolan is in, Graham Tyrrell's in. Of course, he says Cracker of a top as well, Liam. He says Cracker, mate. He's happy with he's pleased with that one that you're wearing. Who else have we got in tonight? We've got Jim Dolan, we have got Ali, we have got Smell the Glove, we have got Irishman in Porto 2002, very specific username. Teresa Lyle is in, John Walker is in, Alex Forsyth is in. Welcome along, everybody. Welcome on. So on a Friday night, it's a busy night in the world of Celtic podcast. If you chose the Boise Bus, thanks a lot. Take your usual seat, please. And what else can you do? You can still head over to piesports.com and you can still punch in that code BUS1888 and you will get 12.5% off of your order. And tonight's mystery player to get the brain going. I'm going to take a deep breath for this one because this guy's got a lot of clubs on this one. I think it's quite an easy one, though. When you do start to see the pattern of clubs coming together, I think it's an easy one to figure out. But yeah, there are 15 teams listed on this graphic, Liam. 15. So as I say, deep breath. And tonight's hidden player behind the Boise Bus logo is got Bristol Rovers, Chelsea, Plymouth, QPR, Charlton, Crystal Palace, Birmingham City, Wigan, Swansea, Manchester City, West Brom, Aston Villa, Celtic, Preston North End, and then back to Bristol Rovers again. A lot of loan spells in there, put it that way. He has been to every corner of England by the looks of it on all these different loan spells before having a spell with Celtic sort of later on in his career, I guess you could say. But yes, that is tonight's mystery player. A lot of clubs there. I do think it's quite an easy one in fairness, but we will come back to the answer at the end of the show. So yeah, Liam, at the top of the show there, you'd asked me about last week. Have I recovered yet?
Aye.
What a non-event. What an absolute non-event. The thing that I found most ridiculous about it all was in the build-up to it, Brendan Rodgers and Barry Ferguson both saying, well, there's no such thing as a dead rubber. We won't treat it like a dead rubber. I'll tell you what, the game was bloody played like one. First half, there was a bit of intensity. There was some chances for both teams. Rangers took the lead. We missed a few chances. They hit the bar and whatnot. So I say there was some talking points. I say a wee bit of intensity. But see in the second half, mate, see after we scored the equaliser, I genuinely couldn't tell you what happened in that game after that until Maeda's chance at the end. It completely passed me by. A total end of season affair. And yeah, there wasn't much really to talk about. It was just one of those, as soon as the game was over, 5 minutes later, you pretty much forgot it. That's how I sum it up, Liam.
Honestly, I had all the excitement of a Jake Paul fight, you know, like I remember McGregor fighting Mayweather. I'm just thinking, oh, this is terrible to watch, you know. And that's what it felt like, you know, the fact there wasn't a card until the 88th minute. I know Barry Ferguson got one, but you know, it was like substitutes for them that came on and got cards. We had guys that just looked like we'd made an agreement not to lay a glove in each other. And yeah, it just looked that way. It was just so lethargic. And yeah, you got to look at Rodgers for that as well. I mean, I said that game would show a lot about what the players thought of Rodgers and you know, Rodgers' ability to motivate a team. I don't think he passed scrutiny on that one. Yeah, I know we're sitting on a treble and you get the entitlement and all that shit, but just as a supporter and somebody watching football and that, I don't think he's getting the best out of his players. And there was something else that came up as well with the injuries in that, Phil. What you know, like the fact that Alistair Johnson's not been playing. The other thing I wonder about Rodgers, and maybe this is good for the chat as well, is do you think he overplays players? Do you think Alistair Johnson's poor run of form is more to do with the fact that he's another one that's been waiting a shot or a minor operation to fix his hip and stuff, and yet he didn't need to play him in all those games. We won this thing ages ago, and Ralston could have been brought in a lot sooner. We didn't have to wait until we'd actually secured the league to sit out Johnson, especially if he was struggling, you know. And so, you know, I wonder, I hope he doesn't overplay Johnson the same way he did with Tierney. No.
Well, yeah, that was the story that did come out after Tierney had went down to Arsenal. But I don't know if it also reflects on what he thinks of the backup. I know we say that, you know, Tony Ralston is perfectly serviceable, but we can definitely do better than serviceable. I say it constantly about that left back that we try not to speak about. I say he's okay, but we can do better than okay. So it's like, you know, but maybe Brendan Rodgers looks at Johnson, he is like the standout right back, and it's like, well, my options is Ralston. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just thinks that I need better than that. But again, that's up to him and whatever scouting department is, whatever part of the board deals with it, CEO Michael Nicholson, that's up to them to go and get that strength in numbers. Because I know this season we've had a few moments where it has reflected on us that the strength and depth isn't maybe what we think it is. There definitely could be some upgrades there. But yeah, it could be something like that. But yeah, is he overplaying them? It could be. It's happened in the past. It's happened in the past with the Tierney one. And yeah, there's a couple of players who've had to go off for we found out last week as well that Carter Vickers, after the game, he was away for a ejection hamstring problem he had. So they're trying to get that done before the cup final. And say Johnston, he's obviously expected back, I think, in time for the cup final as well. So they have got that in mind. But yeah, again, it could just be a reflection really on the squad overall. Just Brendan's maybe like, I don't trust my second string enough to, you know, so I'm having to play these guys more. Maybe it's something like that, Liam.
Well, yeah, I think there's that as well. But I think there's also a stubbornness in Rodgers' part as well with the shape and all that. I mean, what that game really told me, what I was hoping not to see, I wanted to see that even with setting the players out, that there was a gulf, that we were deservedly that many points ahead of them, right? Mm-hmm. And that was based on us being that much better. We didn't look that much better than them. They look so close to us, it's uncomfortable. And, you know, I'm saying that, I know we scoosed the league and all that, but yeah, there's still that feeling where we should at least give them one doing this year. To have that much of a point difference, it just, you know, yeah, it's I've not seen that before, and it's yeah. I listened to Boise and Mark the other night, you know, and Mark was talking about what they have to do to catch up with us, and I believe that as well. But on the park, they don't look that far away. They don't look as far away as they should for a team that should be that in our position. We should be pulled it way far ahead.
Yeah.
And, so he's got the summer. I think it looks like we've got to rebuild. And you look at how wobbly our back line is. There's only 2 defenders fit for purpose, and that's CCV and Johnson. And Johnson's had a shaky year, so is CCV. So I think that whole left side needs overhauled. Nobody's been able to come in and get that position.
Yeah. The thing is, well, it's not the first time that we've had a season where we've not won the majority of the league games against them. We've seen it before. They can point to examples like Strachan's second season. We lost 2, drew 1, won 1, exact same record that we've got this season against them, but Celtic won the double that season. So at the end of the season, when the trophies are lifted, a lot of fans will be like, brilliant, who cares? But it's like we need to be wary. We need to be ready. We can't forget some of the bad performances against them this season. Now, don't get me wrong. They will have a massive overhaul in the summer with what's coming down the pipeline for them. I keep saying they'll have some kind of financial stability, but our board are reactive, remember, not proactive. So I think the fact that if they are getting this takeover that's happening or whatever, then I think it will prompt us to act. I think that we will be active in the market a lot more than maybe we've been in previous seasons. I think it will be. So I'm still hedging my bets on that because the Champions League money is too lucrative to not, to gamble that. And I think we need to be staying on top of that. So I do see this summer, because they're going to have a massive overhaul. I don't think Ferguson will be their manager next season. A lot of the players that are currently playing for them will probably be binned, and they will have a massive overhaul. And you can't just a whole new team and just throw it together and it just to click like that. So they're going to have a rebuilding process, but we need to make sure while they're in that sort of window, that process, we keep ahead of them. The first meeting between Celtic and Rangers next season will be huge, and it'll be early in the season because it seems like every season now the SPFL will make sure that the first one falls within the first 3 or 4 fixtures. It's going to be at Ibrox as well, because of just the way the fixtures work. So we had the first home game last season against them. It'll swap around and it'll be the opposite way this time. So we just need to make sure that we are ready for them. But I say, but different manager, they'll be playing on a different manager, different tactics, and probably have about a whole squadron of new players. So whether they hit the ground running or they don't, maybe we'll be ready for them. But I say, what we do in the summer is the most important thing. We will be talking. I've got some things tonight about, some positions and whatnot that we're linked with, again, some names coming up. But there is glaringly obvious points that we need to look at in the summer. And even though I fully expect us to win the treble, I'm pretty confident we will. It shouldn't be a case of if we lift the Scottish Cup, it's like, well, that's that then. All's good. We need to stay on top. We need to keep. Alex Ferguson said it so many times, always strengthen from a position of strength. And how many times over the last 20 or so years, there's been these moments where Celtic are in a position of strength, and remember the banner years ago, the Green Brigade pulled out, don't fall asleep at the wheel. It's like, that's always a worry. So we get the treble wrapped up, and then it's a case of in the summer, we go and we prove why we're the dominant team. We go and flex our muscle and make sure we stay the dominant team, Liam.
Well, I think that means going out and signing some proper players this summer, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be available, because this is a World Cup year coming up, right? And so there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be wanting to go to a club where they'll get game time so that they can play their way into an international team, right? So I think that's an opportunity for us. We should be looking at those teams that have qualified for the World Cup or qualifying, right? And look to see, what striker right now could benefit from playing in a league like Scotland, banging in the goals to try and get confidence up, or just get himself noticed to get in the team. And if we can get ourselves into Europe, I think that's another way to dangle that carrot as well. It's all about exposure, and so that means getting players in early. We're terrible for that, right?
Yeah.
So
Ian McIntosh said literally that in the comment there.
Aye, so I think we have to see a change for Celtic. We have to see a change in the structure that goes back to the way we did it when we had Ange Postecoglou, where we had our signings identified. I mean, the fact that he's talking up, Rodgers is talking up Dane Murray, you know, and we're still hearing like the Greg Taylor tributes and all that, even after the Rangers game, Claxon. Yeah, I think we're going to have to change the way we do things right now and get some players in early. But I don't know, Rodgers doesn't fill in with hope right now. I saw we were linked to some guy, Milo Jenovic or something like that.
Did you see what age he is?
No, what is he?
Have you seen the picture of him?
18 or 19, right?
Aye, and it's like he is not 17 about to turn 18. It's like, no, mate, you look about 30. Come on.
Freddie, I do.
Freddie, I do. Oh God, there's a reference and a half. Wow.
Aye, you never know, but you know, we always say we want, you know, get us a big sort of creation, Serbian Balkan basher, you know, in the back. I like a bit of Balkan brutality in my football, so yeah, I think that'd be a good signing for Celtic.
I seen it all day and I couldn't believe it when I was reading the text and the tweet and it was like the 17-year-old and I was like, no, this is like the Saudi Arabian team that beat the Scotland under-16s and what was it, 1989? They all had like mustaches and full beards. It's like, you're not under 16. You're not. Come on.
Well, I remember thinking that when we got Effie Ambrose.
Yeah, Effie. Like, yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
It looked like he was about 47 when he came to us.
Well, to be fair, I think it was uncovered with a lot of Nigerian players, Taribo West and whatnot, that they weren't quite the age that the passports were saying. That it was discovered that he was a bit older than what I actually.
Hello. Oh, I think it's Phil cut out. Oh well. Anyway, just me and you now. We'll see if Phil gets back on the feed. A couple of other things. Yeah, I think Phil and I was going to talk about as well. Was just you know what? I'll give him a Greg Taylor spin till Phil comes back on. See what's happening there, right? So I was surprised that he played him. I thought, okay, this is a geese slumper run. If you're going to have a guy playing for a contract, let's see what he's like in a big game again. And I thought that's what would have done it. The whole introduction of Taylor, oh my God, the amount of pass backs, I think it was about 8 in a row at one point where every ball, nothing moved forward. It was all just about passing the ball back. Yeah, you know what I think of him. I don't think he deserves anywhere near a contract. I don't think that's. It just goes backwards too much, and I think he'll set us backwards as well. So anyway, last I'm saying it, and that's it. So I don't know where Phil's disappeared to. It's not used to doing this myself. Let's see. What do I talk about? Amount of stuff getting thrown on at Ibrox. I saw they come out today where Sinisalo was talking about. I think in fact he was quite shocked that he'd never, experienced that sort of thing before. I mean, I know he was at Exeter before that, and then gone to Ibrox, and they're talking about just bottles, and he's talking about vapes and lighters and coins and pens and that sort of stuff. I don't know what happened there. So, I don't know what's happened to Phil. So, let me see if I'm actually still on air. Right, hold on a sec. Buzz live. With me. Oh, well, so here we are. Anyway, I've not got my iPad in front of me, so they'll be sort of asking any questions of that. That's Phil pops back.
Oh, sorry about that, Liam. I had a total internet drop out there. It was kind of intermittently going in and out, and I was like, is it you? Is it me? And then I looked around at my internet router, and one of the lights had just gone out there for about 30 seconds, and that's enough to knock me completely out the game. But I've got 3 green lights now. That should be it. But hey,
great, you're on. You're good. I thought I'd come to it. I wasn't sure if I was actually broadcasting and all, but anyway, because I don't have my dad to see any of this stuff. And
the beauty of live, I was going to say live TV, live internet. This is what happens. You're up again, you're at the mercy of your internet connection, and it just conked out on me, and I was like, "Oh, Jing's Cribbins helped my Bob, poor Liam, he's stuck there." Because I know that you've maybe not got your iPad or something like that next year, so fair play. I'm back now. I'm simply back now, so hopefully we're all okay.
Yeah, so listen, I just slagged off Greg Taylor for a minute.
Oh, well, okay. Nothing's changed then, right? Cool.
Check.
Cool.
That's off the list. Pens, vapes, coins, bottles. We started just talking on that, and I'm interested to see. I'm away for the game, so I don't experience that sort of stuff. I remember going to the games with like crash helmets and stuff when you were kids, in like the 70s and stuff. But yeah.
Well, on the subject of crash helmets, that was something I was going to lead on to, because the big talking points came out of the game is things getting thrown. And this is not the first time we've been here, Liam, because just earlier this season, Arnie Engels was struck with a coin at a corner kick, deleting the game. But yes, again, we saw it last week when we scored our equaliser, Sinisalo. Fair play, he is a Celtic player. He is allowed to give it large to the opposition fans. I would expect no less. I would expect the Rangers goalkeeper to give it large to the Celtic player or Celtic fans when they score, because it's all part of the rivalry. But a few of them in the Copeland Road end couldn't quite handle that, and some items were thrown. A bottle, namely, was not the first time we've seen a bottle get thrown. The last time it happened, it scudded off the crossbar and smashed into 1,000 pieces in the 6-yard box, which of course delayed the game. And we saw it again, and to the point where one of the Rangers subs had to run on and lift off the park. But Sinisalo today did not mince his words in his press conference. He was very vocal about it, about what could have happened. If it hit him, the game surely gets stopped. The player goes off injured. I mean, there's no possibilities, but this is not the first time. Again, say earlier in the season, Engels getting struck. We had a coach get struck as well a few seasons ago during the post-match celebrations. Remember the game where we beat them 5-1? We had an incident where a fan jumped over the barrier and tried to square up to Scott Brown. In the same game, Dedrick Boyata scored to make it 4-0, and one of the Rangers ultras, who has like the megaphone, launched the big battery out of the megaphone, because there's an image of Lee Griffiths standing in front of them holding it up like that. And it's like, again, it's like, this is not the first time this has happened. And it's like, what needs to be done? What needs to be done, Liam? When are we going to see this action? Because all we hear is, the club are investigating it, and club are an internal investigation. As Sinisalo said, there's security cameras everywhere. There was plenty of objects getting thrown. Surely they can identify these people.
I mean, they have to know it. So I think that's Rangers just. This is where you'll see if their new ownership's serious or not. If it's like serious about changing that culture, because that's not going to get you. I mean, the fact that their new owners, whatever, sat in the press box and watched that sort of stuff. I mean, because you can see it on the telly, so you can see it in the box as well, that people are having to run on the park and remove objects. I mean, somebody not playing runs in the park, of course, is going to be it's going to grab your attention. So they must see that him picking up glass and objects and running off. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to put up nets. I mean, the cameras should be enough where, this, age that we're in right now of, security cams and all that stuff. It shouldn't be hard. If you can have cameras for VAR, you can have some like Girima and Akram or whatever behind the net, the animals, But yeah, I don't know. I'm just glad you don't see as much of it from our fans.
No,
you
don't.
North America, I mean, like it's not as like the venom is unbelievable. Like to take a battery out of a thing on a ball and throw a ball at somebody on the park, and maybe you have to get them to hit them in the pocketbook, where you have to like their stadiums are so close to the seats are very close, and it's like, what? Take the first 10 rows away from them then. They're too close then. So you punish them in other ways, and just deal with it. Figure out how to do it. You're going to lose season tickets, going to lose fans, and but you've not proven that you can be in that close proximity, in a professional context. And again, you just need one player to get injured and all that, and the lawsuit and like a serious injury, that'll be news around the world. who'll want to invest in Scottish football, to watch it, a spectacle, whatever, when you see that sort of stuff going on? That's the stuff you see in fucking Balkans and stuff, Turkey. You know, that's why we still have a brand that we might be able to salvage and sell, if we cut this stuff out now.
Yeah, it's it could be a case of nets having to go up behind the goals. We see it in other countries. I know in Germany and stuff like that, there's like, big full nets all the way up behind it. It doesn't totally, hamper your view and whatnot, but indeed they can't be trusted to, just not throw stuff on the park. Things like bottles, as Sinisal said, vapes, lighters, coins. And say it happened there on the season on the angles. We had the coach say under, I think it was Ange was still the manager at that point. We were celebrating, and yeah, it gets hit with a bottle, and there's no need for it at all. We've only just got to the stage where away fans are back in. Interestingly enough, I noticed that there was no protective nets around the Celtic fans. I thought the whole agreement was that the away fans will be back in the stadiums now if there's protective nets, because the Rangers fans were in a net in the game in March. I was fully expecting. Remember, Brendan Rodgers made a point about we've complied, we've brought in the safety measures. They haven't yet. So I thought, well, it's just a case of maybe Rangers haven't installed the nets there, but there was none. There was none at all. So I don't know, for fans that were sat at Ibrox, were they subjected to things getting launched at them? I don't know. I mean, so that probably happened.
Anybody in the chat that was at the game that got to go there, yeah. What was that atmosphere like?
Well, to be fair, it looked good at the start of the game with us singing Simply the Best. The Celtic fans were having the time of their life singing that.
We called that 2 weeks ago. We said we should steal that. Like, we were talking about the Guard of Honour. I think we should steal their song. I think we should bring Tina Turner here to do it.
Well, maybe a bit of a problem there.
If we got her to come out and raise the flag, is she still alive?
No, passed away last year. As I'm saying, a bit of a problem there. We get a tribute act. I think Rangers one time got a Tina Turner tribute act out in the park years ago.
A big drag queen or something will do it, Plenty of Tina Turner. Tunners out there, if you ever been to Vegas.
But yeah, I've seen people on Twitter saying that Trophy Day, when we left the trophy, they should just begin playing that over the PA system at Celtic Park, just to absolute shithousery. But it looked like a fun atmosphere in the Celtic ends, to be fair.
Honestly, I'd love to see us do something like that. I mean, that's the sort of stuff you really want in your rivalry. You know what? Batteries and lighters and all that. But see, we can get one up here with good, clever, creative ideas. And some of the stuff we've done have been brilliant, all the beach balls and all that. That's the sort of stuff that, will get you fans worldwide and creates that global Celtic vibe. And whereas they're going about it the wrong way. It's all about anger and shotguns and targets and sights. And,
Were you offended by their tifo in any way?
No, I was expected. No. I was actually surprised. The quality is a bit better. I could actually, tell that was Graham Souness. I mean, and some of their other ones, it could have been a koala bear. Like the art was absolute gash.
It's terrible, some of it. I know. I've seen a lot of fans, like, not a lot. I'd say the minority. I think a few are on the same wavelength. Look, it's meant to be a rivalry, right? It's meant to be. I mean, a few years back, we had one that said, was it hang out the flags of war or something like that? And then it was like we had mannequins hanging for the top of the stadium, getting hung and stuff like that. And it's like, it's meant to be a really intense rivalry. It's like, you said there was only one, with the first booking in the game, did they come till 88 minutes or something like that? It's like, you want them to, bit of blood and thunder. I didn't really care for the people. I was just like, whatever, just get into them, Celtic, come on. That fires you up. I said, I've been consistent in my view throughout this season. I was happy to see away fans return. Yes, we lost back in March. It was a sickener. But to me, walking into that stadium that day, it gets me a bit more amped up, seeing them in that corner. It's like, because you've got something to channel your energy at. When we score a goal, you just channel your energy at them. But when they weren't there, it's just like there's nothing to, so you have to basically stick it to, essentially. So I'm in favour of the fans being back in, but with all this antics going on, things getting thrown, I hope to God it doesn't result in another standoff, away fans back out the stadiums and whatnot. Although, to be fair, it's not the fans that seem to be in danger, it's the bloody players that are in danger the most. So that's, I think Celtic must be speaking to behind the scenes about it. I don't think they've been very public about it, but surely to God, they must be speaking to the authorities and saying something needs to get done here.
I mean, yeah, it just escalates. And again, you want, like, you know what you're saying about the fans in that corner and how brilliant a spectacle it was. You'd think something like that would be enough to lift the players to see, like, that extra dig, that extra, let's do it for these guys. Look at them here and the way they're supporting us, and first time in ages. And yeah, no, that was disappointing that we couldn't rise to meet even those fans' expectations. Never mind everybody else watching at home. But anyway, I think that's it with the Rangers game. That's them done
Aye.
here. I don't know what they'll look like next year. Neither do they.
No,
But
to be fair, don't really know at this point in time. So yeah, it's just up to us to just keep ahead of them. Just whatever they do, just make sure that we're doing, we're doing our bit and addressing the issues and the positions that need addressed, because there is some there. Squad depth is definitely needing improved. We definitely need to looking in the forward department. Once again, Matthias Visgarden is up. The name's up again. Are Celtic once again being led up the Visgarden path, Liam? Are they? But they're talking about 11 million being the total. And again, it's like, well, we paid 11 million for Engels last summer. This is what big clubs do. Big clubs with money. If that's a player that they've identified, and if that's what Brøndby have said, that's what we'll take, do it. But again, this is a Celtic board. Look at last summer. We had an agreement already in place for Paulo Bernardo, money ring-fenced essentially. And then it was like, no, Benfica, can we sit down and renegotiate that, please? So don't be surprised if Celtic are looking at that and going, I don't know. But say the money's there. The money's there. To me, it's like if it's there, and if they've identified this boy's name keeps coming up, and no smoke without fire for me, Liam. So surely Celtic must be keen on this boy. And if that's what Brøndby are asking for him, then I think we need it. And we do definitely need to get another striker option in, because I don't think Ida can be trusted to play the full field. I do like Adam Ida, but my God, he's still got a long way to go. Maeda, can we get that out of him again next season? Do we have to rely on him just going through the middle all the time? So it's like we do need another striker option, because I think Johnny Kenny, he's not going to be here long term, so that must be high on the priority list, Liam. It's got to.
yeah, I mean, but the thing about Ida, I think with Ida, you're seeing the best he is. I think that's him. That's full capacity Ida. I think we keep thinking there's another corner or there's another level to his game. I don't think it is that. I think we've seen him. That's the best I think we'll get from him. He'll have games where he, when he plays well or gets more opportunities every now and again. But as far as what you get from him as an effort and what you can count on, yeah, I think you're going to get the sporadic goal, but I don't think he's going to be that proficient target man that everybody thinks that we're getting. This isn't a Marco Viduka or a Chris Sutton or a Giorgio Giacomakis.
Giacomakis, my man.
I think, and I thought Johnny Kenny looked all right when he came on. I thought, yeah, there was some good running into the box. He's a lot taller than I thought he was. For some reason, I thought he was a lot smaller. So he actually is quite a big lad as well. He's just a bit lightweight. But honestly, I'd really like to see more of them. I mean, part of the frustration with Rodgers is you hear him talking about the Dane Murrays and all that sort of stuff, and every time we keep recycling these players that we know little about, but not everything. Like somehow they're concealing from us this. They've had this great sort of growth within training that Rodgers sees, and they're a one for the future. I mean, I fully expect Stephen Walsh to be back next year. Who knows? You could have Palmer back. You could. There's. I think Palmer's still on loan, right?
Palmer's on loan, and Olympiacos have said they're not going to buy him, basically. So he is coming back to us in some capacity. So whether Celtic can ship him out really quickly and get him moved out, or is he going to stick around?
So I think the next couple of games are going to be really interesting. You're going to have to see what's out there. I think Sena Salo has been really good for us as well. I've enjoyed what I've seen of him, and that always makes you wonder. It's like, okay, so what else are we not seeing? And like, what have we not seen from some of these younger players like a Johnny Kenny? What is he doing in training that doesn't get him a start? Same in Naroki. I saw Naroki come in and have 2 really good games. The fact that CCV is probably a wee bit delicate. Are we going to see Naroki come back into the team, and give him a run? And I think all these things is just a way to, you look, and then I start evaluating Rodgers, well, How are you not playing him when we were having lots of difficulty? Where this guy seems to be so much, miles ahead of a Scales or Stephen Walsh or, Dane Montgomery's and that.
No, I'm going to throw a theory at you and a shout out to somebody I work with who's actually in the chat tonight, Craig Fox. I work alongside him. He said to me through the week, he thinks the Johnny Kenny substitute at the weekend was simply a case of last meeting with him this season. He's probably not going to be here next season, and it was just he's not going to get another chance to play against Rangers. He threw him on, but see, he could have been a hero. I don't know if it was as cut and dry though that Maeda could have squared it, because there was a Rangers defender to his right, so I don't know if he could have got to it, but I did feel, as Craig said to me, that he feels that Rodgers just put him on there just to this is his only chance he's probably going to get, because I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he'll be here next season. But it's weird because he went away on loan to Shamrock Rovers, played in the Conference League. Okay, it's the third tier of European football, but it's still European football. There's teams in that competition that are higher rated than most of the teams we play in Scotland. The boy scored at Stamford Bridge in the Conference League. He scored against Chelsea, who are in the final Premier League team. So he's obviously got something to his game. But I remember I said months ago, when he came back for his loan, I remember Brendan Rodgers got asked at a presser, will Johnny Kenny feature? And the look on his face, like genuinely, it was like, he didn't even know who he was talking about. It was genuinely like, who? Of course, I think Russell was right in his theory that at that time we were kind of wanting to get another striker in because Kyogo had just left. So maybe it was a case of, I don't want to big this boy up too much because the board may think, well, you've got your striker there. Well, joke's on you there, Brendan, because Johnny Kenny did stick around and we didn't get another striker in the January window. But yeah, I don't see that Brendan investing much in Johnny Kenny, and I think maybe he'll get a goal for the end of the season anyway. But there is a wee bit of me that's agreeing with what Craig had said to me about maybe it was just put him on just because this will be probably the only chance we'll get to play against Rangers, and that was it. And that's where we were as a team last week, really, with what was available to us. Put a player on just to put him on against Rangers, just so he could tick a box.
If he did that, he deserves sacked. Imagine 1-1 rocks and you take a player, put somebody on just for a charitable thing to say, oh, here's a wee thing, a wee gift for you and all that.
Mind the Ben Doak thing. Remember when Ben Doak was basically, it was rumoured he was off skate and then he got thrown on in like 2 games as sort of last throw of the dice to convince him to stay? Remember that whole thing? Or that's what it came across like. He played against Dundee United as a sub and then Rangers a sub, but then it came out shortly after that like he wasn't going to stay. He decided he was going to move on. Remember that whole debacle as well a few years ago?
Oh, yeah, that one came back to bite us in the arse as well. And I remember as well, like Anne's throwing on guys like Aidan Moffat and guys like he was doing some brilliant goals in the B team and all that, and then just completely disappeared. I think he went to Queen's Park and then Dunfermline or something like that.
But, yeah, it was stuff like that. I remember Moffat, he scored a goal in a pre-season friendly against Sheffield Wednesday. A really good goal, I remember. And I thought, this could be the next big thing coming through for Lennoxtown. But yeah, it didn't really go anywhere, did it, at all? It didn't really materialise. But yeah, I think he's playing down in Blackpool or something like that now, was the last I'd heard about Owen Moffat. But yeah, we need to do something about our youth system. We need to be seeing some better products coming through. It's very much when you look at since the Lennoxtown training ground was established, that was supposed to be this factory for churning out players. And over the time, you could really point at Tierney, James Forrest, Callum McGregor. I think Aidan McGeady was before Lennoxtown, but looking at this century, the number of youth products that we've came through that have really gone on to become top players. I mean, Ben Doak obviously went to Liverpool. He's had a few games here and there. He might go on to big things, but ultimately, Celtic's youth system hasn't really produced the big players that we thought it would. But let's say every so often a generational talent comes along, so much so that one of them's even coming back to us in the summer with Kieran Tierney, in a weird, full circle moment for the boy. But yeah, he's probably the last great one, I would say, that's came through. McGregor broke in just before him. It was Tierney, and I say before that James Forrest. So it's few and far between these days. But again, we've said it before, Liam. The system that they play in, the youth players, the B team, is awful. it's terrible. They're playing glorified friendlies most of the time in that lowland league because they can't get promoted. So there's nothing really on the line for them. And there isn't really much of a path there because I don't think Celtic are in a position to take too many risks with youth players, because if we do play too many of them, bleed them in, and we lose points, the first thing that fans will point to is should they have played them? So it's a bit of a between a rock and a hard place when it comes to that, Liam.
Well, it's weird. It sort of eats itself as well. You've got a youth and a B team, and then we also have these signings like project signings. Guys like Lyle Abada, Marco Trillo, young boys that come into the team and completely skip the B team or the youth team, and and you see these boys coming in, and you find out, like, some of these boys are older than guys currently playing in the team. What is it? 19, 20?
Engels is 21, 22. I want to say he won the Young Player of the Year this week or last weekend. Realistically, looking at who's in the candidates, it's really hard to pick out a Young Player of the Year, but yeah, I would say he probably is. But yeah, I say 21, 22, I think, tops.
Yeah, I mean, so we've got a lot of young players right now that are actually not young players. They seem like they've been around forever.
Yeah.
Like some of these boys that they bring on the thing. I'm interested to see if we're going to see any new faces that are coming in. Who's the boys at Bonner?
Jude Bonner, he made a fleeting appearance this season in a game against, I think, Dundee it was. I think it was them we played. He was on the bench and he came off the bench. And yeah, remember last season we had Daniel Kelly, and he went off to Millwall. So he went to let his contract run down and transferred off to Millwall. So it's like, yeah, because he came in again, and funny enough, it was against Dundee. He scored a screamer of a goal against Dundee last season. We beat them 7-1 in a midweek game. And again, I thought there's something about this boy, Kelly. He looks like he might have something, but no, the draw of playing for Millwall seemed a better choice for him in his career. So it's
this thing, it sort of shows us up right now that perhaps one of the things that we're missing right now is a director of football.
That's true.
That really solve a lot of problems for us. Somebody that can stand up to the Lyles and all that as well, but be that sort of thing that also keeps Rodgers in check as well when he starts talking shite and all that. It's like, get the players in, and also, if Rodgers is stuck on that system, let's get the players that can play that system.
Yeah, totally. Because there's still a lot of players that were there when he came in that are still here. So it's like maybe he needs more people that will play that way. But again, it's up to him to push that to the board and make sure he gets what he wants in the summer. Because with this Champions League qualifier, and of course the news came out about that as well, Liam, that we're not going to be seeded for it. We're not going to be seeded. Even though we're in the Champions route, that does not necessarily mean we've got it easier, because I've got the potential opponents here. So as it stands right now, because it's still projected, because there's still some titles to be wrapped up and whatnot, but as it stands with the way things are, our potential 5 opponents, one of these 5 will be who will draw. Bodo Glimt, who of course we know, and just played in the semi-finals of Europa League last night against Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham. Dynamo Zagreb, who we played this season in the Champions League, and we definitely seemed to shit the bed because they weren't all that good, and we just seemed to sit back, and we could have really went for the jugular against them. FC Copenhagen, a name which still haunts many Celtic fans after what happened under Lenny, 2019 Europa League second round. Red Star Belgrade and Ferencváros, who we've had a few encounters with in recent seasons with mixed results as well, because they stopped us for qualifying in the infamous 10-in-a-row season, but then we beat them home and away in the Ange Postecoglou's first season in the Europa League. So that's the 5 right now. But here's the sickening part, right? 36 spots in the Champions League. 23 out of the 36 spots will be held by teams for the big 5 leagues. England look like they are going to have 6 teams in the Champions League, because now their coefficient has got to the point where the top 5 now qualify for the Champions League. Plus, Man United and Tottenham are contesting the Europa League final, and the winner of that gets into the Champions League automatically, and that means that there'll be a 6th English team. And what is it right now? Man U and Tottenham, 15th and 16th in the Premier League, going to be in the Champions League next season. Joke. Spain will have 5 spots, Germany will have 4, Italy will have 4, and France will have 4, which means you've got 13 spots left over that teams like us are just fighting for the scraps. We're just fighting to be in there. So it's 13 spots to be decided. And yeah, all the big leagues are already in there, but that's how many teams from the top 5 divisions take up the 36 spots, 23 of them, Liam.
Aye. Who cheering for the Champions League this year? Inter.
I mean, I think it's a neutral. I think it'll be a good game. I quite like Inter. I like the Inter's history and prestige and all that. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain have become a good team since letting Neymar and Mbappe in that go. They've got better, which is quite incredible. But I do like Inter just for the history and the prestige, and I think when you see their celebrations as well against Barcelona the other night, just incredible 2 games of football. But the passion in that team, they seem like. I'd say it'll be a good final, I think. I hope it is a good final. But I'll go for Inter. I do like Italian football. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Italian football, so hope Inter do it.
I think you're seeing a renaissance of Italian football right now. I think you're going to see, it's weird, like Italy can go hot and cold. Like one year they'll win the World Cup, next year they'll miss the Euros. It's like, it's Italian, And, but I like to look at Inter, and yeah, you always have a soft spot for them. I love that. It's one of the iconic kits,
Yes, it goes along with that perfectly. Of course it does, yes. Yep, that kit, of course, is you think of the blue and black stripes along with the green and white hoops, of course, man. Yep, it goes on perfect contrast to each other. But yeah, we'll see if I do it. But yeah, as it stands right now, that's the 5 opponents. We are going to be unseeded, so there's no. When it comes to Celtic and qualifiers, we know fine well there are no guarantees. We have seen some clangers this century, teams like Maribor and stuff like that, Legia, Warsaw. Malmo. Well, we've came unstuck against teams at that level. And you look at the 5 teams in that, we've lost to Bodo Glimt already in previous years. We've lost to Copenhagen in previous years. So nothing can be taken to chance. And that is why it is so vital that Celtic do not fanny about when it comes to transfers. They have to get in there and get early, because it's the end of August, that qualifier. It's like the last 2 weeks in August, because it's the final round, the playoff round. So it's like we cannot sit and wait for if we qualify or not, which we've done in the past. And also Monty's asking, because he just came in there, who's the 5 opponents? It is Ferencvaros, Red Star Belgrade, FC Copenhagen, Bodo Glimt and Dynamo Zagreb is the current projected 5, Monty, and we will not be seeded. I say it could still change. There could still be a couple of teams that could change that round, but I think with the way all these leagues are sitting right now, that's who it's going to be in those spots. So we just need to wait and see. One thing that we won't be getting, though, Liam, the season ticket holders won't be getting, is we won't be getting that game on the season ticket. And I think I talked about the season tickets a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned about the renewals are out. The prices are obviously up again. I did say as well, usually in the past, you would get things like pre-season friendly on the season ticket. And we hadn't had a home pre-season friendly, and I can't even remember the last time we had one. But then I saw this season, look, we've got Newcastle coming to town. Well, that's convenient. They bumped up the prices, and now we've got a home friendly. So that must be the freebie that they're giving us. Nah, ain't no freebie here. 25 quid if you fancy going to watch us play Newcastle in a pre-season friendly. It's not just a pre-season friendly, it's for the prestigious Adidas Cup. The Adidas Cup, mate. Shameless, absolutely shameless, man. It's like you bumped up the prices. When I mentioned it a few weeks ago, I think the total for me and my dad is it's going to be over £1,000. That's the first time it's went over 1,000 for us too. And yeah, a pre-season friendly against Newcastle United, and they still want to charge you 25 quid. You can apply for your tickets now for it. No, Celtic, I think I'll give that one a miss.
Where is it? Get on the games at Celtic Park, right?
Aye.
I mean, it's just a gouge. That's Adidas, they're at it. That'll be big. We'll have half and half strips and scarves or something for sale, and try to make this link up with Celtic and Newcastle where none exists. There's a lot on this summer as well. We're probably playing because we're is that World Club Championship is on this summer.
Yeah.
Here, because there's tons of games in Seattle, you get all the feed that they've been advertising it non-stop for about 6 months here.
Mm-hmm.
like there's about 6 English teams in that as well, but there's teams from all over the place like that, Saudi League and stuff like that. And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to just sort of feel the waters to see if they can create a super league, and could you play like international teams in North America at neutral bases and all that, and would that still draw a significant crowd, for the American market, and or even just for television revenue, and get it filmed and all that, and
Well, interesting enough, see over here, which obviously the UK is where football was born. You'd think this is the place where if there's a football tournament going on, surely there'll be a buzz about it. The TV companies over here are interested in it. It's getting covered by DAZN, that channel DAZN. They're covering it because BBC and ITV both knocked it back. I don't think Sky showed any interest in it, TNT Sport. There was obviously that move a few months ago where that wee Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, the guy, the Italian guy, he announced that Inter Miami were going to get into it, even though they haven't actually won anything. But it's just because Lionel Messi plays for them, try to boost ticket sales and boost interest because Messi plays for them. And it's like, even that's not really caught on. So yeah, there's they're trying everything in their power to get a buzz about it. You're probably right. It probably is a forerunner for some sort of, not even a Euro Super League now, a World Super League. And that's where football's going, sadly. The soul is long gone.
That Messi thing's a pain in the hole right now. They played the Whitecaps here, I think it was last Wednesday. Mount, everybody's walking out. They see 3 or 4 Whitecaps jerseys. Everybody else, Messi,
Yeah.
Just everywhere. And it's like, seen that when Beckham was here as well, fans filling the stadium because they're fans of a celebrity and a personality. And you know what, he's well past his best, but you know what, he still stands out in that league,
yeah, he does. It's a kick around for him and his mates. All his pals from Barcelona all came to the club. Busquets, Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez. Yeah, there's talk that Luka Modric is going to go over there as well when his Real Madrid contract's up in the summer as well. So, yeah, it's just becoming in a Miami, just a wee retirement home for La Liga players just to go and play alongside Messi and scoosh it, essentially. But, yeah, we'll see what comes of that. But, I say, football, the way it's going, this World Cup, Celtic charging 25 quid for friendlies against Newcastle, and it's just like, I'm pretty sure the advertised that came as I talked about the battle of the League Cup, the 2 League Cup champions or something like that, because obviously Newcastle won the English League Cup and Celtic have again won the Scottish League Cup this season. And it's like, you're not selling this to me, Celtic, at all. It's like, again, prices have gone up. Surely we must get some kind of freebie, some kind of reward somewhere to justify. Because I remember years ago, there'd always be 1 or 2 home friendlies. But in recent years, it's always been a wee tour. We've done away at a training camp in another country for a couple of weeks playing some friendlies there. And you didn't get one. But I saw it came up in the fixtures that Celtic have announced a home friendly with Newcastle. And I thought, okay, putting 2 together here. Season tickets have gone up. We've finally got a home friendly for the first time, but no, still going to charge 35 quid. And also on the topic of tickets this week, that's been a hot topic as well, because the cup final tickets went on sale. A lot of questions being asked over the home cup ticket scheme. Is it really worth it? Is it fair? Is it legit? I could tell you that I did get a ticket. I am on the home cup ticket scheme. Me and my dad both got tickets. We get emails through to say we'd been successful in the ballot. I do believe it is legit. But the thing is, you got to look at the bigger picture here. Hampden holds 50, I guess like 51,000 at full capacity. Both Celtic and Aberdeen, I believe, got around, well, Aberdeen, it was like 20,000 tickets, and Celtic got a smidgen over 20,000 tickets, like 25,000 essentially. All the rest going to corporate and family, and it's like thousands of tickets are going to that. So, but that's been a thing for years, Liam. That's been nothing new there. But again, it's like, those fans, the fans that have missed it, there's fans who are going, I've been every game, home and away. I go, nothing there, and it is all just the luck of the draw. So I'm fortunate enough to have got a ticket, and I'm also very thankful for that. But yeah, I can understand the frustrations of it, and I do think the whole corporate stuff and all that needs to be looked at, because I feel like the numbers don't add up to me. It's like thousands upon thousands of people in corporate, and it's like, I don't know, man. Does he check out to me, that one, Liam?
I mean, it depends how big the sponsorship package is as well, and like how many other people for the other clubs and all that come as part of it, or their chairmans. And like, did you see Peter Lyle with Alex Ferguson?
I did.
What game was that?
He was at the PSG game, wasn't
he? PSG, that was right.
Yep.
You know, so you'll have lots of the cronies as well. I mean, did we not manage to secure a ticket for Brendan Rodgers a couple of seasons ago?
He turned up at the semi-final against Rangers, the one when Jota scored the header. Yes.
Got a ticket, no bother. Friends in high places. Yeah, it's all just corporate fucking sales and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know how you sort that stuff out. Yeah. I guess the paperless ticket thing, you're going to have a better idea of who's went to what matches and all that. You can create some sort of digital footprint of like who's got the most consecutive, matches, and then just start doing it that way. Because, I think you have to reward the people that go to all the games and make an effort, as well as just the randoms that are lucky enough to get a ticket. But yeah, I mean, sort of stuff that can easily be sorted, It's no hard. Elon Musk did it, Phil.
Well, I suppose because some sort of artificial intelligence could probably do it. No doubt you'll think of or something. But yeah, in terms of all the other stories with Celtic this week, that pretty much covers that. So let's get on to talking about the Hibs game. We'll stay on for a bit longer after my internet issues. Somebody in the chat said, I go smell the glove, said it, that I must have inherited Russell's internet problems now that he's got his fixed, and it's now passed on to me. Like just a spirit has passed on to me now that I've got it. But it seems to be holding just now. So we'll stay on a bit longer. We'll talk about the Hibs game now. So yeah, Brendan's presser, he was obviously asked about injuries. Obviously, you did highlight earlier on. I'm puzzled myself about this one, Liam. He does keep on talking about Dane Murray every week, and it's like, I don't know if he's just including them in there because he's going to ask about who's an injury problem, but the fact he keeps bringing them up, I don't quite understand it myself. But anyway, that's another story. Jota, we know, obviously, we've talked about the problems with him. He's out long term now. Cameron Carter-Vickers went for an injection with his hamstring after the game last week, so he is out. So we would expect Austin Trusty to come back. And but one thing that he did highlight, but I don't think he'll start, is Kasper Schmeichel is back in full training now. But I think Sinisalo will hold the jersey, and I think deservedly so. I don't think just rush Schmeichel back in there. But now you want to make sure Schmeichel's fighting fit for the cup. So maybe he'll play against Aberdeen and St Mirren. But yeah, it is good though to know that Schmeichel is back, and we've got a full quota essentially of our goalkeepers now.
I'd like to see Sinisalo hold the jersey. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think he's let in 1 goal in the league, 2 goals in the league.
St Johnstone and Rangers last week. Oh, there was one against Kelly, the cross that came in, but we won that game. Was it 4-1 in the end? So we won it pretty comfortably. But yeah, I mean, he's done okay. He's pulled out some decent saves, and he's good with the ball at his feet, because every manager in the world wants a goalkeeper who can play football now, not a goalkeeper that saves things and keeps out of the net. They want a goalie that can pass the ball, and it's like, well, surely his job first and foremost is to be a goalkeeper. But anyway, I think in terms of when he has been called upon, he's pulled out some blinding saves. The one against St Johnstone, even though, yes, it would have been offside in the end, still had to be alert for it. A blinding save he pulled out there.
I think what we saw like a full range of a goalkeeper that doesn't look to have a lot of weaknesses. So you say, yeah, he can hit somebody, he can grab some of these screamer shots, you see, with the full extension of his body. I thought against Rangers there was an early header where he managed to get off his line in the middle of the net and go back and touch the corner with his hand to prevent a ball that was going in. It was certainly a fair degree of power as well. So get his body, get a strong arm behind it. I've seen him get himself down in a scramble and come out and be big, but more importantly, be brave, going out there, blocking shots, diving at players' feet. And you've seen him as well. You see him come out and make some of those last-ditch, not tackles, but being able to challenge a guy coming at his 18-yard lines for 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
I think you're right. His awareness when he's on the park, when he's got the ball at his feet, seems to be a lot better. I think he's not got the panic button that sort of like a Joe Hart came, where Joe Hart would start panicking about, as soon as you could hear him or could hear him breathing, whereas Sinisalo, he seems to got his timing down where he knows exactly how much time he has until he gets the ball away and and launches it without, keeps his target in mind, not without panicking. I'd like to see him play more. I think everybody that's playing well for Celtic, I think you play well. Otherwise, you get complacent. As Rodgers talks at both sides of his mouth sometimes, when he talks about complacency. And you've got a player that comes in that I think has played reasonably well. Does you immediately lose his spot because Schmeichel's back? Does Tony Ralston come in and get 3 games in a row now to go and really, finish the season strong? But does he get dropped if Alistair Johnston's back for the final? He talks about complacency and that as well, but he doesn't set up any sort of structure of meritocracy where you can see that players are getting played on merit. Yeah. Greg Taylor, he's survivor, outlast, outwit, out.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you'd like to think that the players who are currently in for the guys who are injured, they've got that in their mind that if I put in a shift here for these remaining games, that cup final is a massive incentive. But the fact that, Brendan said already, we've sent Johnston away for an operation and he'll be back for the cup final, or we're hoping. So he's kind of put it out there already. He's going to play. Now, don't get me wrong, as I said earlier on, Johnston to me is the outstanding choice. But if Ralston, comes in, he should still be getting told in his ear. Maybe he is. Maybe Brendan's, I don't know, talking to him in the sort of behind the scenes and telling him, you can play your way into the cup final. Yeah, it's only fair. It'll motivate the player to put in their absolute best performance as well. So to me, it should always be used as a carrot because, for some of these players, it might be the only cup final they get a chance to play in. It could be, you never know what happens with careers. Careers can be cut short. So it's a big incentive for a lot of the players to, use that as a motivational tool. And yeah, the fact that he's put out there already on, he'll be back in time for the cup final. Yeah, I can see what you're saying there about, they should be getting played on merit. It's not just a wee sticky plaster until he's back because that's his jersey. But again, it harps back to what I said earlier on the show about the depth. Brendan, I think, definitely doesn't. I think he's seen enough evidence this season when some of the depth has been showcased. It's not quite where he wants it to be. So I think it will be these guys will come back in for the game when it comes around, the Aberdeen game.
He said something weird in the press conference as well about Sinisalo, and that was this run of games gave him an opportunity to have a really good look at him now, because otherwise we would have probably had to let him go or let him go out in the summer because he's really wanting game time.
So what was the plan in buying him last summer? What was the whole plan then all along?
Exactly. That sort of stuff is the stuff that get me questioning. It's what are you talking about?
Because the bigger issue there, Liam, the bigger picture, the elephant in the room is if that had went well Brendan pitched there, that we'd loan him out in the summer. If the Kasper Schmeichel injury doesn't happen, right, and he doesn't play and we loan him out in the summer, what does that leave us with? Scott Bain is the number 2 for the rest of the season. Kasper Schmeichel gets injured next season. What happens? Scott Bain has to come in and play. So you're telling me that would have been Brendan would have been okay with that? It's come on now. We need to be doing better than Scott Bain. Come on.
I think there was talk through the week about Doonan, the boy at Aberdeen. That is he the one that was in goal when we scored 6? I think it was.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was him actually. Yeah, because Mitov is a normal goalkeeper, isn't it? And yeah,
aye, and that's when their slide when he got injured for 3 months. That's when Aberdeen started sliding down the table. Then when he came back, they're starting to play well again. Mitov, maybe Bulgaria. Keeper now, thank God.
Aye, it's but no, I did pick up on that at the presser today when he talked about the Sinisalo thing, saying, it gave us a chance to look at him, and yeah, we were thinking about maybe loaning him out next season if he wasn't getting a chance. He wants to play first team football, and again, I'm but then we would be left with Scott Bain as a number 2 for the whole season. You'd be happy to go back to that again, Brendan. Come on now. So I think now Sinisalo, it's all worked out. The stars have aligned. And Sinisalo's now very much put himself in the sort of plans, made Brendan Rodgers sit up and take notice and be like, look, I'm Goalkeeper. And all the fans, so many people so far in the chat have said they want Sinisalo to keep the goalkeeper spot until, the last few league games. The cup final is what it is. But, in the next season, I think enough fans have seen enough from Sinisalo to know that if Schmeichel does get injured or there's a suspension or something like that, we've got a safe option there. Because again, there was a lot of mystery about him. A lot of fans were questioning, that's all well and good that he did well at Exeter City in English League One. Is that really the level that we should be looking at? But he does play for his national team. He does get games for the Finnish national team. He does play at that sort of level. But yeah, he's shown that he's a more than capable goalkeeper to play between the sticks for us in Scotland. No issue at all. So the boy's taking his opportunity when it came, and good on him.
Aye. And so, do you want to talk about the fullbacks then?
I mean, if you want to talk about Greg Taylor, I know that a lot of people do gather here on a Friday night for such a moment, but I mean, it's obvious that Schlupp is not going to be staying, and Greg Taylor, we still don't know for definite. Is he signed? Does he know? I think a deal's getting done. I think it's going to be inevitable now. It's happening. But again, we need to be going out and getting a left. Well, I think we need something else. I know Tierney's coming back in, but Tierney, can he play the full season? Probably not. Is Tierney going to be used as centre-back from time to time as well? Yeah, I do think we still need to be looking at some cover there. So it's, I don't know. It's still in messy. I'm 90% sure that Taylor stays, but nothing's official yet.
Honestly, I thought watching that Rangers game that everybody would see the same thing. Like, he's backing off. He's disrupting play with all the constant back passing. He was on his arse smelling once. It was one point he just stopped and started running backwards with his back to the ball. Don't know if you've seen that bit. And I'm just wondering, it's like, what are people asking for us to sign? I listened to Boyce and Mark last week. I couldn't believe what I was hearing when they two were talking about if Taylor had came for a more fashionable league, that we would have looked at him a lot differently if we'd have got him for. Honestly, don't know what they're talking about. Honestly, for me, it's like, okay, why are we settling for Greg Taylor? Nothing against the guy, but why are we settling like that's our only option when you can see the deficiencies? Rodgers took him off in that last 20 minutes because he knew Rangers were going to pump high balls into us and they were going to try and win that game in front of their fans, hopefully. Meanwhile, they didn't either. They didn't care against shit either. But he took Greg Taylor off to put Schlupp on, and he's done that before. He did that in Champions League games or some other must-win games as well. So if you've got a player, I mean, he's an absolute definition of a luxury player. Greg Taylor's great when you're winning games 6-0 and all that, and you're bullying the team and you've got all the possession. But even with that possession, he's still the one passing it back. He's still the one. Now, I think we really missed Maeda in that game because when Greg Taylor inverts into that inverted position, nothing goes out to the wing. The wing just gets it. He basically, all we've done is we've put another anchor pin in the centre of the park, and it's like a pinball machine. It's like a wee bumper that you just put the ball to it, and it just comes back to you at the same or faster speed without any thought, any head, any looking up to see if there's a better player even to try something. And that's what just frustrates the life out of me with Rodgers and Celtic. And it's the fact that there's Greg Taylor seeing off another one. That's good.
Ali coming in with the stats. Taylor gave away the ball 8 times in the first half last week. I mean, he was at times last week, especially in the first half, he was having his passing was going nowhere. But in the second half, for the first time in the game, well, obviously, what was one of the battles we always talk about when Celtic and Rangers play? We talk about the Maeda and Tavernier battle. We hadn't utilised that. But of course, early in the second half, Taylor finally gets the head up and clips a ball over Tavernier. Maeda runs on it. Tavernier can't catch him. Maeda gets to the byline, cuts it back, and just does what Maeda does best, causes all sorts of chaos. John Suter goes to clear it. It bounces off Maeda and into the path of Vida. He has to steady himself and scores. But it all came from finally realising, just get the ball in behind Tavernier. He can't deal with Maeda. And it was like that was the first time we did that last week, and then we profited from it. And it's like it's so routine against them. It's so predictable down that side against them. If we just do that, a nice ball over the top, Tavernier's stuck. He's flat-footed. He can't catch him. And to Maeda, he was in. So it took him till the 55th minute or something like that to finally ping one of those type of passes. And it's like, yeah, we could have utilised that because Maeda was obviously playing out there, and we just didn't really look to exploit Tavernier because he's such a huge weakness for them against us. And it took that long to get it done last week. But yeah, he will play tomorrow. I think the Schlupp thing's over. I did have high hopes for him after the Bayern Munich game. I thought, yeah, this is a guy, by the way. This guy's going to be a shrewd signing for us on a free transfer as well. Experienced head. But it looks like it's over. It looks like the Schlupp experiment's over, but it pushes us back to, I'd say Tierney is coming in. Yes, probably can't play the full season. I think Greg Taylor will still be here. I think a deal is in the works because, hey, nothing else is getting offered to Greg Taylor, it seems. We're all getting all these stories about other teams that chased him. So I think it's inevitable now it's going to happen. I still feel like, well, to cover for Tierney not being able to play, but I still think we could have a guy in a similar vein to Schlupp where he can play left back and a few other positions because, again, I think you need utility players, guys who can fit into a few positions. You need a player like that in your team, Liam. I say it's not going to be Jeffrey Schlupp by the looks of it, but somebody of that ilk, somebody who can cover a few positions would not go amiss, Liam.
It's funny going back to that game. Tony Ralston hit Maeda with more passes cross field than what Taylor did as well. I thought that was looking like a dangerous ball for us as well. He just cross field passes just opened them right up as well. I don't know. Greg Taylor's got a contract in the shower. I know it. That's going to be our cup final.
Contract in shower at Hampden. Yeah, we've been there before with that one. In the midfield, this is one that comes up, it feels, every week. Is Paulo Bernardo going to get any starts between now and the end of the season? Are we going to try and get him up to full match fitness by starting him in a few games, or is it just going to be cameos off the bench? Because again, the league is won. I'd be confident. I know Hibs are third and they've had a great run. They've only lost one game in 2025 to Aberdeen at Pittodrie. The last league game before that they lost was to us in December 2024. So they have been on a good run. And yeah, they'll fancy their chances. They're still fighting for something. It's a very tight race between the other four in the top six: St Mirren, Aberdeen, Dundee United, Hibs. The team that finishes third will get guaranteed Conference League football at the very least up until Christmas time, which can be huge for the teams. So I still think we've got enough to beat them. And a guy like Paulo Bernardo is not a big risk to play him. So I think this is a chance. Bring him in. Give Hatate or Engels rest, because Hatate, I think, has played. I think I saw something in the chat maybe last week. Somebody mentioned that Hatate has played in every single game for us this season. Every game. Whether he's came on as a sub or he started, but he's featured in every game in some capacity. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with giving a wee rest. I said Bernardo's are more the capable. And this isn't like you're bringing a Jude Bonner in, like a youth player. You're bringing in a guy that we pursued most of last summer and had to renegotiate the deal and everything. And yeah, he's came back from his injury after being out for how many weeks. And it's like, let's try and get him up to speed, because again, I rate Bernardo so highly. I would love to see him get a start tomorrow, Liam.
I think so as well. I think Hibs is a good team to see him against as well. They've got a really robust midfield as well. They're going to try and press us. That's where I like to see somebody that can tackle like Bernardo in there. I was surprised that McCowan got picked ahead of him in so many games. That to me was just, and I didn't think McCowan was having a particularly good run of form. In fact, I thought he was much better at the beginning of the season when we dropped him for Bernardo.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. There's something I like about Bernardo. I think there's a player there.
Yeah.
I think he's a young boy that's still developing. You can see that in him as well, but he's got all the attributes I like to see in a midfield player. And I think at some point there's a, there is a Benfica player in there. They've got a fantastic recruitment and scouting strategy as well. And yeah, I think he should be more highly rated than what he is. I thought Engels and him should have been given the same chance, but I think there was an advantage given to Engels, obviously, because of that price tag. He had more of a luxury where I think he was allowed to fail more than what Bernardo was. And if you look what Bernardo was offered to us in scoring in big games and big moments, I think it's been good value. And yeah, he's one I like to. I mean, this is where the manager's got to develop players, give them some development time to develop as a football player. We've got these 3 games left. Don't need to see any more of Arnie Ingles. Game of rest now. He's another one that's played nearly every game. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like if you're thinking about this cup final, which Brendan has alluded to, with a couple of players that he's got in mind will be back for it. Then again, there's no harm in mixing up a wee bit. Tomorrow we should still have enough to beat Hibs regardless, and ultimately the result will have no effect on our season now because the title is won for us. So it's a chance to give some of these guys an opportunity to play themselves into the manager's plans for the cup final. Guys like Bernardo. Graham Tyrrell, he came in and said every start Bernardo gets, he fails to impress. So I felt at the start of the season, before Engels arrived, I remember the Rangers game at the start of the season. I know it seems like another world now. It was that long ago. But I thought he was brilliant in that game. And I remember up at St Johnstone where we absolutely battered them 6-0. He was great. But there was a game against Dortmund where everybody was ranked rotten that night. We get leathered. But Bernardo started that night and he was particularly off the boil, and then after that he was kind of out the team and wee drips and drabs here and there. Then he got the injury just after about the start of February. Was out for a while, but I said just find the last few weeks to be weird where he's been back, he's been fit. There's been plenty of opportunities to bring him on, and even Luke McCown would come on and Bernardo wouldn't even get on the park. Right. There was the game against St Johnstone that we lost where we needed something different in the midfield. Luke McCown comes on instead. I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, St Johnstone's Park was, as you like to say, agricultural. So maybe he's thinking just back for an don't want to risk it in case it aggravates something. But then we played, I would say Kilmarnock was the next game, and we were cruising in that game. 4-1 up, 4-0 up at the point. I think it was 4-1. And again, it's like, well, now would surely be the chance to bring Bernardo on. The game is won. There's about half an hour left. Why not give him that time? No, Luke McCown came on with 10 minutes to go and Bernardo still stayed on the bench. And it's like, I don't know, at times that just puzzled me because it's like get this boy back up to fitness. Okay, he's been making a few cameos recently. But again, I mean, I thought last week when he came on at Ibrox, I thought he was a steady hand. He got on the ball. He slowed the play down, and just sort of like calmed things down a wee bit. So I think he's playing. I think he should be given an opportunity. I think it's only fair to give him a chance to get into that cup final team.
I look forward to seeing him play. Is McGregor fit for this? I had a rumour.
Yeah, McGregor, fine.
Is he going to be playing or is he out?
McGregor should be playing. I didn't see anything today saying that McGregor was out because the only ones that got highlighted by Brendan, we said Casper's back in training, AJ's still out, Carter Vickers is out because he went for that operation. So we'd expect Austin Trusty to come in there with scales. Jota is obviously out. Kuhn has an eye injury, like he's got like a black eye or something, but he will be playing. He should be fine. It was in training, just a ball hit him or whatever and caught him just under the eye. So he's got like a black eye essentially. And that was also, there's nothing about Callum McGregor being injured. Nothing mentioned there.
I've heard Rodgers, and I think I picked up Cal, which is probably.
I said I had to rewind it a couple of times, but what he actually said was Cameron, and I was going like Cam. I was like, Cameron Carter Vickers injured. But apparently after the game last week, he confirmed that Carter Vickers had to get an injection for his hamstring. So he's just getting rested now till that's all sorted, but should again be back for the cup final, so they should have no worries there. But yeah, I did think at first when he said that, I went, did he say Cal? I thought he said that, but it was Cam that he said, so Cameron Carter Vickers it was.
Aye. I'm looking to see, there's going to be loads of changes tomorrow. I'd like to see Naroki come in and get a game. I'd go with Naroki.
Well, on that subject then, the Trusty Scales thing, right, last week when Rangers scored, Liam Scales kind of get bodied by Dessers. There's been a narrative I've noticed in the last few weeks from a lot of fans that suddenly Austin Trusty's shite and Scales is miles better. I think, if anything, we've seen that both of them maybe aren't quite good enough for Celtic. They've got their flaws. Both of them have got their flaws. And the problem is, I find a lot of our centre-backs in this current era of Celtic are cursed if their name isn't Cameron Carter-Vickers, because he is at such a different standard that fans, and don't get me wrong, Carter-Vickers has made his mistakes as well. He's had some sloppy moments, but in comparison, he's obviously the safer of the centre-back options. And I just feel like if your name isn't Cameron Carter-Vickers, there's some fans have just made their mind up right away. Look at Carl Starfelt. Right? Starfelt did have a shaky start, admittedly. Oof. Look at our Terry on here was like you with Greg Taylor. It's like he could not give Starfelt any praise at all, no matter what. And it's like Starfelt and Turned Carter Vickers were the best centre-back partnership we've had in recent years. Because since he's left, we're kind of, you have a wee period of Scales, has a good few games, and you go, right, that's good. But then I say last week he got bodied so easily by Dessers, man. It was just, he just did not get anywhere near him. So Trusty's had his good moments and his bad moments as well. Are we back in because I don't think Nawrocki will be here next season. I think he'll be gone. They'll get rid of him. I think he was only put in because of the situation we found ourselves in. Because remember, Brendan dropped that clanger of a line 2 weeks ago in a presser when he mentioned that he was actually considering Dane Murray for that Rangers game in March. Was Dane Murray was going to play ahead of Nawrocki, and when Stevie Welsh was here before he went on loan, Stevie Welsh was getting the squad. So that told us exactly where Nawrocki is in the pecking order. So I think he is done. As much as I think, yeah, he did fine in a couple of games, I can't see him coming back in at all, Liam. It's just like, I get what you mean. No, I think he's done nothing wrong and he should get a chance, but Brendan's very much made up his mind on this guy, sadly.
You know, that's why I think we need a director of football. I think you need somebody out there identifying players, because I still think leaving it to Rodgers, we'll still get another, what do you call him, Phillips? What was his name?
Oh, yeah, Nat Phillips, yeah.
God, I was up there with Shane Duffy. I thought he was such a, for a guy who came with a, you know, it's everything you want. Oh, he's got a pedigree. He's played so many games with Liverpool. Well, actually, it's something like he played 26 games there, 3 years or something like that with Liverpool. Yep. And for a guy that came all hyped up and all that, I thought he was really, really poor. But I was also surprised at Rodgers' insistence on playing him. You know, like when he was filling in for CCV, and I don't know. Like I'm still out on Rodgers' recruitment. I've still not seen anything from Brendan Rodgers that says that he's really got a pulse on players that can even play his system. You know, it's still playing very much Ange's team. What is still what we have is Ange's team out there. You know, and like the core guys and all that. I mean, a lot of them are injured now, but yeah, it's just a weird scenario where I don't think Brendan. Yeah, I've lost a lot of faith in Brendan. You know, not my
yeah, right now. Yeah. I noticed. But who was the other centre back that we had when Ange was here? Was it Maurice Jens? Wasn't it? Remember him?
Aye.
And he was all right for the half season he played, and then that one went nowhere as well. So it's like ever since Starfelt has left, it's like we can't get a stable partner for Carter Vickers. I say you get wee peaks and troughs with Trusty and with Scales. I say Scales has had his good moments. He's had a few Man of the Match awards in Champions League games. He's shown that, and again, I think because the expectations are so low with Scales when he came in, actually anything he achieves is, oh my God, that's more than what we expected. Trusty came in with a bigger price tag, so if he puts in an average performance, oh, that's him written off. I look back at the performance he put in when we played at Atlanta. He was phenomenal that night. He dealt with everything in the air, no problem at all. And it was like, maybe he's just the type of guy that is better in a team that's got his backs to the wall, because he played for, obviously, Sheffield United down in England and whatnot. There would have been a team that would have been on the ball a lot, would have been very much just compact defence. That night against Atlanta, we were obviously, under the cosh quite a bit, and maybe that's why he was good against Bayern Munich. In Munich, he played well that night, and again, it was one of those, this is the big team, they're going to attack us, and as the game was going on, Bayern were getting more into it, but he was dealing with them pretty well. But then he struggles against, like, when we're playing Dundee, where you get a physical striker up front or whatever. It's a weird one with Trusty at times.
But here's the thing, against Atlanta, his left-back partner was Alex Valley.
So it was, oh God, there's a blast to the past.
It was Yessssss. We've said this before as well. Taylor's more centre-backs than he has left-backs.
That's a fair point, yeah.
Did you get Scales playing with somebody like Tierney? Will that change his game now? Because Tierney will be much more direct in taking that ball up and trying to run with it, but also stretching and trying to pull, like midfielders in that way. The inverted thing right now, like there's so many times you see Scales and Trusty having to come over to that side. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a guy that's inverted, he doesn't come back much. He doesn't make you don't see him coming back and making ground on people. In fact, it's the opposite. When he runs back the distance, either he's going in a different trajectory, so the space is getting wider, or he's just that slow that the pace is, he can't keep up with the pace. And I think that really puts the left side of your defence it really weakens us, you know. And yeah. I think once we fix that, I think then you got a much better way of like looking at a guy like Austin Trusty and Liam Scales, and I think there's okay, well, you know, just let them do their own job and not having to worry about fill the void when, you know, Greg's went on one of his holidays up to the right wing.
That's the thing about this whole Taylor saga that's going on, where they're talking about the big standoff has been the money, and I'm like, well, if we're going to pay him what the rumour was, it was going to be like 25k plus to sit as a second string to Kieran Tierney for the most of the season. So that's why there's still a bit where if nothing's been announced yet, then maybe he is filth, but we're not hearing about any other clubs that are in for him. So that's why I'm like, well, if there's nothing else on the table, he's probably going to end up agreeing a deal with Celtic in some way. But it would be interesting if we do end up paying him that type of money. Somebody at the top of the club needs to be held to ransom on that one if we're going to be paying that type of money to a guy that won't play as many games, you know, because I expect Tierney to play the majority next season. Of course, if an injury gets in the way, which could happen, it is Kieran Tierney after all, then obviously it's going to be Greg Taylor. But again, then you're left with Taylor as the only left back. So that's why I do feel that we need to have another option there. So we'll see if they go out and do it. Before we finish up, though, quickly on the forwards, I said Kuhn, it looks like he will play, even though he's got an eye injury apparently, but he should be fine. James Forrest might play. Will he get that goal? Will he finally get it? I thought he looked quite lively last week, but the end product was lacking because he wasn't afraid to get on the ball. He had a few runs, but yeah, he just kind of ran into traffic a few times and just didn't go anywhere with it. But it would be good to see him get his goal. But the more it's going on, I get the feeling it's going to be a charity case where we get a penalty and we'll just give it to him to take it. But no luck with penalties at times, Liam. We'll probably end up missing it or something like that, which is one of the things that will happen. But yeah, it could be Forrest could get a start tomorrow. Maybe Yang will come in if Kuhn has got this injury. Maeda will be on the left, and it'll probably be Adam Maeda through the middle. I wouldn't see it really being much different from that. But yeah, before we go, because I say we're coming to an hour and a half now. Of course, earlier on, if you came in late, I had some internet issues and had conked out for 5 minutes. So, but Liam held the fort, seamless stuff. He kept it going. But yeah, we will do the mystery player. If you missed that at the start of the show as well, it was a busy career for the mystery player tonight. I think it's quite an obvious one who it is when you see all the clubs, but this guy had a lot of loan spells in his youth career. He's done a tour all around England, here, there, and everywhere, because he's got 15 teams in his career, and they are Bristol Rovers, Chelsea, Plymouth Argyle, Queen's Park Rangers, Charlton Athletic, Crystal Palace, Birmingham City, Wigan, Swansea, Manchester City, West Bromwich Albion, Aston Villa. Then he had the spell at Celtic, Preston North End, and Bristol Rovers again. Liam, who's hidden behind tonight's Boise Bus logo?
Yeah, I've not got a clue in this one.
Oh, wow, interesting. I think if you
I'll go with my when I never know. No, it's too. That's a New Balance kit, isn't it? As well.
That's a New Balance kit. Yep. And I'll tell you this. Here's another clue as well. Look at the skin colour of his arm. There's a clue as well.
Oh, mate. No idea, mate.
Okay. Still the glove. I'll bring up your comment because that's the first one I've seen that's got it. Well, I think a few people got it earlier. It is Scott Sinclair. Yeah. Because, we signed him from Aston Villa, but obviously he did that Swansea to Man City move where, let's be honest, Man City just signed him because they had to meet the quota for the homegrown players for the UEFA squads because he had a good time at Swansea under Brendan Rodgers. But Man City, it never materialised to anything. Then he had a loan spell at West Brom, went on loan to Aston Villa, signed for Villa permanently, I believe it was. And then, we signed him off of Villa. But before he started his career at Bristol, went to Chelsea, and then Chelsea loaned him out to Plymouth QPR, Charlton, Crystal Palace, Birmingham City, Wigan. So yeah, he was sent all over the place at Chelsea. But yeah, after he left us, he went down to Preston North End and he finished up at Bristol Rovers, where he started. His career came full circle. But I mean, it's safe to say, what a player. No doubt in Brendan's 2 spells as managers, probably one of the best that he signed. He's an elite level player. I mean, his debut to have flown in, I think it was that morning he'd only arrived at Celtic and was registered for the squad at Tynecastle, came off the bench and scored that goal late on to win it 2-1, and he was off to the races. His first season, Liam, he was unplayable at times. Nobody knew how to deal with this guy. He was as much of a danger, and now keep in mind he was a winger, but he was as much of a danger as like Moussa Dembele and Lee Griffiths were at that time. And remember how shit hot they two were in front of goal, but Sinclair was incredible numbers that first season.
Oh, aye. One of the maddest haircuts ever to grace the pitch at Celtic as well. And that dyed blonde afro that he had at the top, it was sort of shaped like Big Larry for Cameo, and he for the 80s word up. I like Scott Sinclair. I mean, God, you know when you talk about that goal of Hearts, the one thing I'll never forget is how close he was to getting knocked out by
a Hearts fan swings at him. That's right.
Came running past the net, and I think that you could see that shocked him, because you could tell, and you could see the guy leaning there trying to hook him and that. It's like what a debut for Scottish football if that had connected, you know.
Would it be the first time somebody Celtic had been punched by a fan at Celtic at Tynecastle? Bloody Neil Lennon getting attacked. Remember? So yeah, they're just as bad as that lot over the Ibrox.
I thought he had a really good run of penalties for a while. Every time Scott Sinclair went up for a penalty, you knew he was going to score. You know, you had total confidence in him, and it was like, and I think we'd went through a series of penalty takers at that point who had been off and on, and he was the one that was able to string a whole bunch together. I thought he was a cracking player, and yeah, I liked him. Just seemed a really likeable guy and all that. And I think that was probably one of the best signings. That could be Rodgers' best signing, at what he brought to the club. But I think Rodgers was at Chelsea when Sinclair was at Chelsea.
Yeah, he was the youth coach at Chelsea, so he knew him from that point in time, and obviously had him at Swansea City. But again, players of that ilk, as there are players out there currently in the Premier League that have got that bit of experience playing there that are just completely outcast at their team that we can pick up. Now, don't get me wrong, prices have gone up since then. We paid about $4 million, I want to say, for Sinclair. So nowadays, a player maybe similar sort of ability and price, and maybe talking about maybe closer to 8 million this time. But again, we've got it. There has to be those players out there. There has to be. So again, it's over to Celtic in the summer for the scouting. They need to get it right. So that Champions League qualifier will be here soon enough, and we need to make sure we are firing on all cylinders when that comes. But Liam, before we go, then score prediction for tomorrow against Hibs. End of season affair. Will it be another drab one like last week? Will Celtic come out and just put them at the sword, get a bit of momentum going for the cup final coming up, or will it just be a sort of routine, not no frills type of 2-0, 2-1 type of game? What do you think?
Well, I'll come out and I'll say it this time. I don't think we'll win tomorrow.
I
think we will. I think you got Hibs just seem to play for a lot more pride than what we do lately. I've seen Hibs come out and they want to take a game, and they look like they've got something to prove against Celtic. And for that reason as well, like if we couldn't up our game against Rangers, we're not going to up it against Hibs. So I think it will be maybe a 2-1 or a 3, something like that. But
victory for Hibs, not even a draw. Oh, Liam.
So back tomorrow. But again, done, it's dusted. And if we come out and we experiment and we if you can see something that Rodgers is trying to sort of something like here's a glimpse of somebody for the future, or just like a new sort of positioning or something like that, then I don't mind, because it's the end of the season and that's you're allowed that indulgence. But if it's just the same square peg in the same round hole and Hibs running out of the tap is, go to start questioning Rodgers, like how are you motivating these players? The season's no done, league's done, but still should be some. Right.
Given that he keeps on saying he wants to sprint over the line, end the season on a high, you want to keep momentum going because momentum's so important. You don't want to go into the game against Aberdeen having had a real damp squib finish to the season. You want to go in there buzzing, putting some great performances, and then go out there and blow Aberdeen away at Hampden. I do think we will win. I don't think it'll be a pretty game at times. I think we'll win it 2-1. I think it'll be a narrow victory, but I think we'll get the 3 points nonetheless. But I think we'll have to work for it because Hibs, they've got a point to prove. They've got a lot to play for. I think they'll come to Celtic Park with no fear. They will come there thinking, well, Celtic have won the league. There isn't really much on the line for them, so we may as well have a go. I don't think you'll see Hibs sit back with 10 men behind the ball. I think they'll just go, no, let's go for it. Let's have a go, and it might make for an enjoyable game. I thought the cup game we played against them, it was a good spectacle a few weeks back when we played at Celtic Park. So I think Hibs will come and look for to give us a bit of a game. But I think we will get the victory in the end, a 2-1, I'll say. A narrow one, but we'll get there in the end. But yeah, it's been a long and eventful Friday feeling tonight. But yeah, I had some internet connection issues earlier on. Russell's gremlins have passed their way on to me. But no, it all seemed to stabilise. And anyway, we've got through it in the end. So yeah, an hour and a half worth of show. So yeah, we are heading off now, guys. Enjoy the game tomorrow if you're going. If you're watching it on any sort of a Fire Stick types of means, then enjoy it as well. If you're like Liam, who will be obviously watching it in the Vancouver Shamrock CSC as well, enjoy it as well, my man. And yeah, everybody, enjoy the game tomorrow. And look out for PMP as well. I will be finding out what time that's on from Russell and Terry. I'd imagine that Russell will be doing it. He's back up and running now. But if I need to step in, then you never know. Maybe I'll appear. Who knows? But yeah, anyway, guys, enjoy the game tomorrow, and we shall catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.